So starting with today's session. So today we'll be talking about the link status report in our financial module. Now, what is link? As the word says, link is a connecting part, or the word is linking of two different criterias or two different reports or two different ledgers. We just need to go to settings, configuration, and then accounts. Scroll right towards your bottom, and there you will be finding as link transaction. So this is an option, enables the user to link transaction via ledger in the transaction screen and view from the reports accordingly. So the moment you enable this pattern from your settings page, then you just need to be pretty sure that in your ledger group master, for any specific ledger group like debtors, Assam debtors I'm taking in, there is an option named as applicability. You just need to scroll down and check the options of link applicable. You need to make it optional and mandatory wherever required. And the moment you click on optional and save, so any kind of ledgers created under Assam debtors, you will be able to update the link. Sorry. Just a generic ledger name I'm putting in, and I'm giving the group for which I enabled the link. Then you will be getting the options of activate link from your ledger master. So I have few more ledgers in case if you want this feature to be activated for the existing ledgers. What you can do, you can go back to the master's accounts, ledger, and edit. I will search for electricity expenses. And here we go. So again, we don't have the options for direct expenses. We'll not get into details. For electricity expenses, let's enable it. Or probably let's make the changes as indirect expenses. And I'll click on active and I'll click on save. So this was the flow of enabling the link for any ledger master in the RealBooks. Now what we'll have to do, we'll have to come back to a specific segment. For example, I'll come to Bhavanipur segment. And as a regular practice, I will go for transactions and accounts. Transactions, accounts, and voucher. So over here, I'll select the voucher type as journal. Electricity expenses. There we go. And then we will be selecting, did we have two expense ledgers? Yes. So we'll be selecting electricity expenses and then we'll book as 7,100 and I will go 7,100. So as you can see, we do have two options coming up into the scenario. The one is cost center, which is also activated in my expense ledger, as well as we do have a link option just below the amount field reflecting to update the link details in the pop-up. So first we'll go with the cost center part and we'll click on create. And the moment I click on create for cost center, automatically a pop-up comes in for filling up the details of linking. I will give it as SFGT00580. Now I can also give a breakup of 7,100. Like for example, I will update it as 100 and then click on enter. And then again, I will give the details as SFGT0025581 and I will click on create link. And then over here, I will give a party over here For example, let's give Adansa Solutions Private Limited. And now I will be giving it as being electricity expenses booked. And I'll click on submit. So my entry got saved. Now how to view the details for which we have updated the linking? We can simply go to reports, accounts, daily reports, and link status. And then over here, I'll have to give a proper ledger name, which is electricity expenses. And I'll click on search. So we have two rows coming up into the scenario. Reason being there are two different reference numbers. Now, no masters are created, nothing like, for example, for cost centers, we are creating a masters and then automatically we are searching those details. Over here, no masters needs to be created. You can just simply update the reference number, and with that exact reference number, if you are creating multiple transactions like journal, payment, receipt, contra, obviously the bank's ledgers, if you're willing to create the links for the bank ledgers, you can always do that, because my linking part has nothing to do with the nature of party, income or expense. Link param can be enabled for any kind of ledgers, any. You can enable the param of link for bank ledgers. You can create the link param, enable the link param for cash ledgers. You can enable the link param for party ledgers. You can enable the link param for income ledgers. You can enable the link param for expense ledgers. So there's no specific criteria. Like for example, the bill is usually enabled for the party. The cost center params are usually enabled for the incomes and expenses, but there is no foundation for the link param creations or enablement part. So this is the way you can view your report while updating the electricity expenses or any XYZ ledgers that for which you want to view the report. In case if you want to view the report ledger group wise, definitely you can select the ledger group option, and then accordingly you can give as indirect expenses. And you can search all the data, whichever is updated under the ledger group of indirect expenses. Having the data of link will get reflected over here. And then again, you do have an options of positive variance, negative variance, and nil balance. Now, what is the difference of positive variance and negative variance? Let's check. Like for example, in my positive variance, so to view this, let's create one few more examples. Like we'll go to transactions, accounts, and voucher. Again, let's create one journal, and this time we will be updating the electricity expenses on our credit side. And over here, I will be giving some other income or expense ledger. But this time I'll not select this particular voucher type. Let's do it. And I will be doing as income. So it's just a dummy entry, nothing to do with the type of transaction. So you can just ignore this. Now I'll select electricity expenses. And then in my cost centers, I will be updating the cost center, the regular cost center that I want to update and create. And then automatically I will give one reference number as this 500. And now I will click on create link and I'll click on submit. Now let's again come back to the link status report and click on search. So it will give me a negative variance. Like for example, the debit value was 100 and my credit value is 500. So for such kind of transactions, if you want to view under negative variance, then how many such transactions are updated where credit value is more than debit value, you could get those data over here. For example, if you want a positive variance data, that how many such transactions are there where the debit value is greater than the credit value, then those details will be reflecting under your variance part. And the nil balance would show you such data where both debit and credit are equal. So from these drop downs as well, you can view the reports as per your convenience. Also, you do have a link exception drop down coming up over here, where you can simply give the ledger group or ledger wise, however you will to search the data. Now, what is the difference between link summary and link exception? Now, you must have been following the books of accounts with a certain transactions or the way you wanted to, but this link feature has been introduced in the mid of the year. So electricity expenses is a ledger for which you have already created few transactions in your backdate entries also. Now you have not updated the link part in those particular transactions. You want to update the link part for the entries which are being updated from the month of November. So from the month of November, before whatever entries which is not carrying the link data, but the link param is enabled, those transactions will be reflecting under the link exception. Like for example, I will go to all segment. Let's check if we do have any such transactions. We go to ledger group and I will give as indirect expenses. I will select the option as link exception and click on search. So we don't have any data such that in our books of accounts where the link is not updated in the books. You can always have the option of all coming up here for the ledger group for the exceptions part basically. Like for example, this is a ledger name as Ahuja Enterprises where the link param is enabled, but in my transaction, the link is not updated. I'll just click on any one transaction. So there is a link part updated over here, but there is no reference, and that is the reason. Now, the reason why it is not reflecting over here is the link param was enabled before, I mean, these transactions have been updated before enabling the link param in my ledger master. So to find those kind of transactions, you can always come to the link exception part and you can view. Now, how it can help you, what can be the combinations at the time of entry where you can use this? You can, like for example, vehicle booking part. If you want to use the batch number instead of using those vehicle number or the VIN number in your batch, you want to update it as a link, you can update it as a link in your transactions, and you can always view the report link wise in this link status report. When it comes to the college industries or the student model industries, how does it works? Like for example, we have some transactions, like we'll go back to the link summary report and we will be searching the data as advanced tuition fees 23-24. So I've already made few transactions over here wherein you can see the reference number are the student ID details. Now I don't want to capture these details in my cost center. Rather, I want to capture the details of head, expense head or the income head in my cost center. And the student details will get captured in my link part. So this way I am using both cost center and link parallelly for one particular ledger. So I have booked few transactions. So let me edit any one of them. So the moment, since I'm viewing the summary part, it will give me a summary and then accordingly I can have the details of the entire amount which is debited and credited. So there is a student name as Kruti and the roll number is followed by the student name. Let's click over here. So there are 3 transactions which is reflecting, like first is credit of 7040. The second is a liability which we have the receivable which is being created of 25,000. And then there is an amount of 14,000 which is received by the child. And accordingly, the amount which is being receivable by the student is 3,960. You can see in our footer as well. So if I just randomly click and show you the type of transaction which is updated is like here one discount has been updated to the child and the details of the reference number. Now the reference number that you are updating should be exactly same for all the three transactions. A difference of space or a difference of hyphen won't cater the link reference number as same. The system will bifurcate it to two different links. So you'll just have to make sure that the reference number should be exactly same for all the uniform transactions. Like if the child received discounts, and accordingly you can capture the reference number under the link part for the advanced tuition fee ledger over here as I did it. And then in my second entry, I just updated a receivable entry of 25,000, probably not 25,000, 2 lakhs, sorry. So this way I have updated as 2 lakhs, but for Kruti, this student, it's 25,000 for rest of the students. So I've created one consolidated receivable entry for different students, and for different students, one transaction and different length details have been updated with a consolidated ledger amount of 2 lakh. So 25,000 is comprising for Kruti student, for which we are viewing the report. And then let's go to the third ledger or third entry that I updated. The third entry, I have updated it as the link for the receipt entry. This child has paid 14,000 via cash against the course that he or she has opted. And then accordingly, the link details is exactly same. The student name and the student ID is updated currently. And now if I want to view a report that this particular child, now for example, the journal refund, if the child exits or wishes to leave the school or college in the mid of the year. So for those transactions, you always pass a refund and the refund to the child. Like for example, 14,000 was collected, the refund amount is liable, like 5,000 needs to be refunded to the child. Then you can use while doing the refund entry at that particular time, you can update the child as a reference number in my links to have a proper view in my link status report. So this way you can always have a consolidated report, and you can have all the details as per your convenience. You can use VIN number in your link when it comes to an auto industry. You can use the child reference number when it comes to the school or college industry. And as for the different industry or as per your different requirements, you can always update the link data in your entry and view the report from here. You can have the details with positive variance, negative variance, nil. You can view the report ledger wise, ledger group wise. Now you do have a comma options over here. Like for example, few nature of transactions, if they are same but the ledgers are different, you want to have a proper consolidated data view. You can always update as advanced tuition fees 2023-24. Now over here, since I have the data of electricity expenses, I'll select it over here, and if I click on search, then automatically my data will reflect as a consolidated one. You will be having an option of segment reflecting towards your first row, then the date, ledger name, ledger group, reference number, which is the link reference number, debit, credit, and the difference. So accordingly, you can always have a proper view of link status report in your RealBooks as per your convenience. I'm repeating myself once again, this feature or this param is not restricted to any nature of ledger. It is open for all. Like for example, I updated it for expense. You can update it for both income, expense, party, bank, cash, everything. So there is one ledger which is Ahuja Private Limited. This is a party ledger. If I want to create the link, enable the link param over here, since again the Kolkata debtors doesn't has the link param enable, and that is the only reason it is not, it's reflecting, sorry, the Kolkata debtors is enabled, the link applicability is enabled, and that is the reason you're getting this param over here. If you click over here and click on save data, then accordingly for the party ledger also you can capture link, for the income expense also you can capture link, and the way you want it. So this was all about the link feature which is developed in our financial module. Anything related to this feature, any questions or queries, or you want me to just highlight the report once again, do let me know related to the link status report. Yes, Saurabh Banik, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
हेलो।
Yes, Saurabh. Now I can hear you. Please go ahead.
हाँ मैम, जहाँ पर आपका रिपोर्ट्स आ रहा था ना, जहाँ
हाँ
पर
जी।
आपका डेबिट क्रेडिट दिखा था और राइट साइड में आपका डिफरेंस बोलकर दिखा रहा था। ठीक
हाँ,
है। ओके, लाइन वाइज डिफरेंस आ रहा है क्या या फिर टोटल आता है डिफरेंस?
आपका समरी में हमेशा कंसोलिडेटेड आएगा। दो चीजें हैं यहाँ पे। मैं एक बार रिपोर्ट में जा रही हूँ।
हाँ
हम यहाँ पे जो रिपोर्ट चला रहे हैं वो लिंक समरी का चला रहे हैं, करेक्ट?
हाँ
तो जब
हाँ।
ये लिंक समरी का चलाएगा तो आपका समरी के टाइम पे समरी का ही टोटल आएगा, डेबिट एंड
अ-
क्रेडिट।
अच्छा।
ओके। एंड देन अगर आपको इसका डिटेल्स पे क्लिक करना है, जैसे कि आपने यहाँ पे एक लेजर डाल के रखा है और उस पर्टिकुलर लेजर पे अगर आप क्लिक कर रहे हैं, क्लिक करने के बाद आपको पूरा डिटेल्स मिलेगा।
हम्म।
ठीक है। लाइक फॉर
ठीक है।
एग्जाम्पल अब आपको डेट रेंज, जैसे कि अब मैंने यहाँ पे डेट रेंज में एक बार बढ़ा देती हूँ,
हम्म।
1/4/2023। अब आपका जो कॉम्बिनेशन है, अब हमारा डिटेल्स जो रिपोर्ट है वो किस चीज का है? लिंक रिपोर्ट है। तो हमारा बेस क्या होगा? लिंक होगा। मेरा यूनिक लिंक एक बार आएगा। इस लिंक में टोटल डेबिट या टोटल क्रेडिट कितना है, उसका डिफरेंस क्या है? इट्स सिंपल। लाइक अगर आप बिल स्टेटस रिपोर्ट देखेंगे तो हमारा डेटा क्या होता है? बिल वाइज आता है।
हाँ
करेक्ट। वो बिल में आप क्या करते हैं, आपका उस बिल से रिलेटेड एक से ज्यादा ट्रांजैक्शन हो सकता है।
हाँ
हम उसका एक जर्नल भी क्रिएट कर सकते हैं, उसी बिल के अगेंस्ट में एक रिसीट की एंट्री भी कर सकते हैं, उसी बिल के अगेंस्ट में एक और एक जर्नल एंट्री पास कर सकते हैं।
हाँ
बट जब भी हम लोग बिल स्टेटस रिपोर्ट चलाते हैं, उसका समरी चलाते हैं, तो वहां पे क्या होता है? एक बिल आता है। एक बिल
हाँ
के अगेंस्ट में आपका टोटल रिसीवेबल कितना था, पे कितना हुआ है, और अकॉर्डिंगली उसका बाइफरकेशन आता है कि कितना ड्यूरेशन से ये पेंडिंग है। करेक्ट।
हाँ
उसी
हाँ।
तरीके से आपका ये, इसको मान लीजिए बिल की तरह, इसका
ओके
समरी
ठीक
आ
है।
गया कि टोटल डेबिट आ गया, टोटल क्रेडिट आ गया और उसका डिफरेंस आ गया। अब इस लिंक से रिलेटेड कितने एंट्रीज हैं या कितने ट्रांजैक्शंस हैं, मुझे इस पे क्लिक करेंगे तो अब ये आपके पास वाउचर वाइज डिटेल्स आ रहा है। अब ये वाउचर वाइज डिटेल्स में क्या करेगा? डेबिट क्रेडिट करके जो भी प्लस माइनस है वो इस तरीके से आएगा। बट यहाँ पे डिफरेंस का एज सच कोई मीनिंग रहा नहीं आपका। यहाँ पे डिफरेंस में हमेशा नीचे फुटर का कंसोलिडेटेड डेबिट एंड क्रेडिट का जो डिफरेंस है वही आपको हेल्प करेगा।
अच्छा समझा, मतलब आपका इधर जो आपका भाउचर वाइज आ रहा है इधर,
हाँ
ये
जी।
इधर जो आपका लाइन वाइज जो डिफरेंस देकर इसका कुछ काम नहीं है, क्योंकि लास्ट वाला जो कॉन्सोलिडेटेड है वही मेरा एक्चुअल
करेक्ट।
आपका प्लस माइनस होकर आ रहा है।
करेक्ट, क्योरेक्ट, सिंपल सा फॉर्मूला है, डेबिट माइनस क्रेडिट।
हाँ, लाइन वाइज वही आ रहा है, मैंने देखा।
ठीक है। हाँ, और कोई सवाल?
आगे जो ठीक है, अभी यूज करता हूँ, कुछ सवाल आएगा मन में तो करूंगा, यूज कर लेता हूँ थोड़ा।
हाँ जी, थैंक यू।
हम्म।
Anyone else? You can help ask your questions or queries. So in case if nobody has any further questions, so we can close our session for the date right now, and we'll meet again in our next session, which will be held on next Friday. Thank you so much all for joining. Hope this feature helps you out for answering the questions of the clients as well as for showing this feature to our clients. Thank you so much.